Now the magician assembles the suit of armor. Once the front door is closed, the magic really begins. Our actor hustles inside the crate and moves the suit of armor into position so it can be concealed from the audience's view. Outside, our dancers are doing a great job of distracting the audience. This is important because it takes our actor quite some time to strap the suit of armor to the back door. So when the door swings open, the empty suit of armor will be out of view and our actor can take its place. The front door is opened and the audience has no idea that they are looking at a duplicate suit of armor. Our suit of armor comes to life, and the masked magician has done it again. For his next trick, the masked magician will shoot an arrow straight through his assistant's body, without drawing even a trace of blood. He blindfolds the assistant in order to spare her the horror of looking down the barrel of a loaded gun. The magician moves across the stage and is handed a specially designed rifle. He checks the barrel, then asks for the ammunition he'll need to discharge his weapon. The gun is cocked and ready. Now for the arrow. Since it will be traveling at a high rate of speed, he ties a ribbon around it so you can follow its path through our assistant's body and into the target. He loads the arrow into the barrel of the gun. Now he's ready to fire. He gets down on one knee, takes aim, bullseye. You can see that the ribbon has traveled straight through our assistant's stomach and into the target. That's gotta hurt. Let's watch it again. The arrow passes through her body and into the center of the bullseye. But where's the blood? And what is the secret? In order to understand how this complicated illusion is achieved, let's check out each of the elements. First, the gun. While it is real, it never actually fires. The shell is a blank that merely creates a puff of smoke when the trigger is pulled. Next, the arrow. Although it's loaded into the gun, it never leaves the barrel. The end of the ribbon is tied to a thin piece of fishing line that is virtually invisible to the naked eye. The fishing line runs behind the magician's arm and body to keep it hidden from view. The ribbon is loosely wrapped around the arrow so it will easily slip off during the trick. When the illusion begins, the fishing line is already strung along a path that runs from the ribbon, across the floor, and into a metal tube concealed beneath our assistant's dress. The fishing line enters the tube, goes around her body, out the back of the tube, and into a hole in the center of the target. See our magical stagehand behind the target? He's there for a reason. We'll tell you why in a minute. Meanwhile, the fishing line continues out the back of the target and is attached to a sandbag hanging 30 feet above the warehouse floor. At the moment the gun is discharged, the sandbag is released, and its weight pulls the fishing line and ribbon straight through our assistant. Let's take another look. The magician fires. The ribbon is pulled from the gun, through the tube that wraps around the assistant, and into a hole in the target. I know what you're thinking. If the arrow never leaves the gun, then how does it hit the target? Here's the secret. A second arrow is actually concealed within this vertical black stripe. Behind the target, our stagehand waits to release the arrow on cue. See the arrow dropping into position? Seems complicated, but it's really pretty simple, once you know the secrets. Now, for a trick that threatens to reveal the masked magician's true identity. Here's the setup. One of his assistants plays the role of the executioner. The magician must escape from the bag before the executioner removes his mask and reveals his identity to the entire world. Could this be the trick that ruins the masked magician's career? First, the magician's hands are bound. Then the executioner blindfolds him and places him into the bag. Next, he is positioned behind a three-sided enclosure. The bag is pulled tight and locked. The doors are closed and the clasps are tied. Now the executioner puts on her hood. She moves all the way around the enclosure. Even though dressed as the executioner, she's still required to dance. Just part of the job. The executioner opens the doors and reveals that the magician is still trapped inside. Will he manage to escape before being unmasked? The doors are closed and secured. The executioner moves around the enclosure one more time. Then she opens the doors again. Time to pull off the magician's mask. But wait, that's the executioner. Then who's under the hood? You guessed it, the masked magician. What a surprise. How did he do it? First of all, when the trick begins, a second assistant is already hiding behind the enclosure as it is rolled onto the stage. The assistant is also dressed in an executioner's robe and hood. But that's not all that's hidden behind the enclosure. There's another executioner's robe and hood, as well as a second magician's mask hanging on the back door. You'll find out why in a minute. Out front, the executioner puts on her hood and begins to dance around back. That's where the first switch happens. The executioner removes her hood, while the second assistant takes her place and dances around to the front. Meanwhile, the magician is still locked inside. He unhooks a secret link in his chains so he can free himself from the bag and trade places with the executioner. The executioner grabs the second magician's mask and through a secret back door switches places with the magician. Once inside, the executioner puts on the magician's mask. While all this is happening, the second assistant is out front creating a diversion with a dagger. This gives the executioner enough time to finish putting on the magician's mask and get inside the bag. When the doors are open for the first time, the audience has no idea that a switch has been made. They don't realize that the original executioner is now in the bag, pretending to be the magician, while the second assistant is now disguised as the executioner. Meanwhile, the magician is hiding behind the enclosure, putting on the black robe and hood, so he will look like the executioner. Now, the second assistant moves behind the enclosure and hands the dagger to the magician. The magician picks up where the second assistant left off and continues around to the front. He opens the doors. The audience thinks it's our magician who's about to be unmasked, but we know better. The mask is removed, revealing the original executioner inside the bag. And with his identity still a secret, it's none other than the masked magician. You've seen magicians make doves magically appear. That's easy. Now you're gonna see them disappear. The magician opens a special box. These are real doves. Nice birdie. He loads the first one into the box, then closes the lid. Now for the second dove. Easy there, little fella. In you go. A little hocus pocus, and suddenly, the doves are gone. How did he do it? You're probably thinking the doves are up his sleeve. Well, they're not. From this angle, we can see that the doves really are loaded into the box. Here's the first one. Now the second. Don't send us any letters. They're not being hurt. The lid is secured, and now for the trick. The lid has a secret compartment where the doves are hidden. When the magician hands the lid to his assistant, she makes sure to conceal the secret compartment. See? There they are. Our two feathered friends perfectly comfortable inside the lid. Not very magical, is it? Now the masked magician will perform an illusion known as the box of pain. Only a true professional should attempt a dangerous trick like this. He opens the box to prove that it is completely empty. This is the unlucky assistant who must endure the box of pain. He makes her kneel down, then puts her head inside the box, where it remains for the entire trick. She has no idea what's in store for her. The box is closed, and her wrists are handcuffed together. Now for the sword. It is a real sword. In fact, it's so sharp it appears to glide straight through the box and into our assistant's head. Quite unpleasant. Now for the daggers. You can almost feel the assistant's pain as the first one is plunged into the box. Since the box is about the size of her head, the natural conclusion is that she's being impaled. She clenches her fist as another dagger is driven into the box. What did she do to deserve this? I can assure you that the assistant's head is inside the box and not behind it. It seems impossible that she's still alive, but she's still moving. That's a relief. Another dagger cuts through the box. Watch as she flinches in pain when the blade is inserted. Hurts just to look at it. Now the box is riddled with blades. But that doesn't stop our magician. There's always room for one more. The final blade is inserted. You might want to cover your eyes for the next part. It won't be pretty. But wait a minute. Her head is gone. A bizarre decapitation? Or just another trick from the masked magician? While it appears that there is no way to survive the box of pain, there actually is a logical explanation. As you can see, the box is much deeper than it appears from the front. This gives the magician plenty of room to insert the blades both in front of and behind our assistant's head. But how did he make it appear that our assistant had been decapitated? The answer is simple. mirrors. While the magician distracts you with the handcuffs, his other assistants are actually sliding the mirrors into place on the top of the box. So instead of seeing our assistant's head, we are now seeing reflections of the inside walls of the box. From this angle, we can see the mirrors slide into place as our assistant shifts her head backward. The sword also plays an important role in this trick. It covers the seam between the two mirrors, creating the illusion that you are seeing all the way to the back of the box. As for the blades, they are carefully inserted into the box so they surround our assistant's head without cutting into her. The blades come so close that they actually pass through her hair. The doors are opened, and the optical illusion works to perfection. Pretty tricky, huh? Most tricks aren't very dangerous, but this one really is. The masked magician will now risk his life to perform Houdini's famous water torture escape. He inspects the torture chamber to make sure that it is airtight. There are more than 500 gallons of water sealed inside. The lid of the chamber is lifted, and the magician begins mentally preparing for this dangerous trick. His wrists are handcuffed by one of his assistants. Now his feet are shackled inside the lid. Once he is tightly secured, the crane hoists him into the air. Timing is crucial in a trick like this. Blood is rapidly rushing to the magician's head, increasing the odds that he will lose consciousness while underwater. He is trying to keep calm and lower his heart rate so he can hold his breath as long as possible. Again, this is a dangerous trick that requires tremendous physical skill. He is put into position. He takes one final breath and gives the signal that he is ready. Into the water he goes. Since there is no extra room in the chamber, water begins to pour out onto the floor. The assistants secure the lid and lock it closed. Now the magician has been underwater for almost 30 seconds. The curtain comes up. How long can he hold his breath? Hopefully, long enough. We move completely around the chamber to prove that he has not merely slipped out the back. He hasn't. The curtain is now partially raised. The magician is still inside, struggling to escape. Will he make it? The curtain goes down again. Time is running out. The tension is mounting. It's going to take some real magic to get out of this one. The curtain goes up. But where is our magician? There he is. A little out of breath, but none the worse for wear. How did he do it? The key to this daring escape is in the lid of the chamber. You can see that the magician's feet are shackled and that the lid is locked down tight. You can also see that the locks are real. But what you don't see is the assistant sliding the pins out of the hinges of the lid. So even with the locks on, the lid is easily opened. When the curtain is raised, the magician uses a handle hidden inside the lid to pull himself up. He pops through the unlocked lid and takes a much-needed breath. He drops down again, and the lid closes back into place. He dives to the bottom of the chamber and begins to struggle just in time to show the audience that he is still underwater. When the curtain goes down again, he removes the handcuffs, which are specially rigged for just such a trick. See how quickly he breaks free? Once loose from the handcuffs, he uses the handle to pull himself up and completely out of the torture chamber. He closes the lid to make it appear as if it is still locked tight. While the audience is wondering if the masked magician is still alive, he is merely waiting for his cue. The curtain goes up, and Houdini couldn't have done it any better. Time for our magician to go back into hiding and start preparing for our next show. I can't wait to see what he comes up with next. I'm Mitch Pileggi. Good night.
Na próxima sexta-feira vai poder ver a terceira das 4 partes de Magia, os Truques à Vista. Fico por aí daqui a instantes. Ana Ribeiro apresenta o 24 Horas e logo a seguir ao RTP Economia, a não perder o primeiro episódio de Páginas Negras. Fique connosco, boa noite, bom fim de semana.